All right. Sorry, kitty cats. Meow meow. Um, was just listening to a little Matty Diaz song. Um, I just saw. So I want to start by saying, God, I love that music. I'm gonna start this by talking about music and nostalgia, and interestingly, in a mosaic vision kind of a way, it will actually tie into the title because I got to fulfill on that title. Am I a Boomer 2.0? I think a lot of this is going to be about cultural transformation and change and the generational handoff. How do we now we're talking, buddy. Chris, also, dude, if you know people that can connect me to Maddie Diaz where I can at least get her a note. I'm not even on Instagram at all. I have like some Instagram account from a long time ago for some reason. And I like figured it back out again and figured out how to send her a message because at the show, after the show that I went to the other night, a couple nights ago, um, dude, yes, yes, because so here's the broad story. So music is a big deal to me. I think in lyrics, uh, they're little often during like TLC conversations and intellectual conversations and philosophical conversations, all of a sudden musical lyrics will pop up. And I think in terms of lyrics and songs, and I've realized these were like unconsciously forming a lot of the ways that I view reality. And even what's funny too, something I've realized about myself is that in a sense, I don't really pay attention to lyrics or I don't think about them. Like I can sing them and I know them. It's almost like saying the Lord's Prayer or something in a liturgical service, or not the Lord's Prayer, like the Creed or something like that. And if you aren't doing it in the particular rote way or according to the music or the rhythm or the tune that you're doing it, it's like deeply in your bones where you don't maybe even consciously know it. Like if someone just came up to you, I remember doing this at work back when I was a chemist, and I was talking to one of these girls about how she grew up Catholic but wasn't really religious, and we were talking about the creed and knowing. And I said, and she's like, "Yeah, we said it all the time." And I said, "Well, just could you recite it?" And she couldn't do it. And then she realized, we got to get into this rhythm to know the creed. So anyhow, music is like that. For a lot of my life, there's music that I've loved, deeply, deeply loved, and resonated with. And I know the lyrics kind of in a way, but not really. I haven't thought about them. But then at some point, my love of a song or a musician, and then I go in and I look at the lyrics and I'm just like, holy shit, these lyrics are unbelievable. And they're profound and they're like really, really, really good. And I'm like, oh, there are like all these reasons because I wasn't really, I don't know, in a sense, I wasn't really that philosophical as a kid. Like it's not something that happened to me until I was later in life because I had lots of repression, I think. Um, so lyrics are a big deal. Music is a big deal. Um, and so I have all this nostalgic music. Like there's certain music that will take me back in a way that that's just unbelievably powerful. And like when I was in high school, I have all these different phases of music. I heard somebody talking about the other day. Oh, it was in a live stream. Where was it? I think it was David Busatil who was saying, like, for guys, he's just like, guys of a certain age, just admit you liked Limp Bizkit. Like, it's not cool, but just admit it. You did. Like when Break Stuff came on, you love that song, you know? Like, what was the song? Chocolate something in the hot dog flavored water, whatever. I don't know. I listened to a lot of Limp Bizkit, but like they came out with some album that was terrible. And also Rolling is a stupid song where they like rhyme the same word with the same word. Like it's not good poetry. And it's not good musicality. But anyhow, there's music that really relates to you. Like when I was in probably junior high, I was a wrestler playing football. I grew up in a hardcore wrestling town where it was just like, you have to lift weights. You have to lift weights before school. Like, they weren't messing around. They were taking it seriously. So we were in the weight room. We were listening to, like, what were some of the stuff we were listening to? Toadies, Collective Soul, Live, Lightning Crashes, Bush, stuff like that. We were listening to a lot of that kind of music. And then high school, it was like Limp Bizkit, Korn, Rage Against the Machine. I still love Rage Against the Machine. They're so good. What other stuff were we listening to? But then like Matchbox 20, bands like that. And then really deep affecting music for me. There's a lot of Christian music, contemporary Christian music in there. Like Jars of Clay, I still love. I think they're great. But then this came up the other day too, because an artist. So now the last couple of years, I've been getting back into music. I've been rediscovering music. I feel like somehow it just magically happened where my musical life of appreciating and listening to music, except for the music that I already knew and loved, kind of just disappeared. And I wasn't really discovering new music. And that happened until that just started again a couple of years ago. And one of those was Maddie Diaz. I heard her song playing on this local music station, The Current. And I heard her song Nervous. And I was like, I like the tune. I like the musicality. I like her voice. And then I heard this lyric where she said, I have so many perspectives. I'm losing perspective. I make myself nervous. And I was like, wow. Resonance. Yes. I have so many perspectives. I'm losing perspective. And I was just like, holy balls. And because that's the thing, is like, I'll hear a song sometimes because I'll listen to The Current. That's one of the ways I find new music. But like, that's the thing. How do you find new music? Again, I'm a boomer. I don't know how to do this. I guess a lot of it's TikTok nowadays. I'm not on TikTok. And so my local public music station, I'll find it. Sometimes like, there's a Discovery channel on Apple Music. So we have a family Apple Music thing. We're an Apple family. And pay me Apple. And but how do you discover new music? So because sometimes I'll hear a song that I like, but not enough to like. Life's busy enough where I have to really like something if I'm going to look into it and go like check out an album and then listen to an album and then listen to a whole album where it resonates with you. So anyhow, I looked up Maddie Diaz, the Nervous song. And I was like, this song is awesome. It cooks, it slaps. What's the proper term? I'm a boomer. And then I listened to that whole album and I was like, this whole album is unbelievable. Just unbelievably good. And then I checked out her back catalog and I've listened to everything that I can find that she has. And it's all unbelievably good. And the more I listen to it, the more I appreciate it. Like, she's a brilliant songwriter. Like but not even just like, she has a song that it didn't even click to me. What the hell's the name of it? Where Lone Wolf, I think. And then I heard the background of Lone Wolf. And then the way that she sings about it, because in the lyric, the chorus says, leave me alone, wolf. And so she's like playing on alone and lone wolf. And then she sings like this howling melody after it. And I'm just like, it's good on a lot of levels. And she has a lot of songs that are like that. And then I realized, like, this song that she had a duet with Casey Musgraves. It's going to blow up because of Casey Musgraves. And then I realized that she wrote that song with, what the hell's her name? I was just listening to it last night. Sorry. See, this is how my brain, Mindy Smith. Sorry, shit. So Mindy Smith is another artist that, like, in my early iteration of life, I loved. Like I have a deep place in my heart for Mindy Smith. There's people connected to her. There's all these like old school Nashville, like McMo, if he's in here, he'll hear about this. No, this isn't boomer music. I am like the millennial version of boomers. That's boomer 2.0, PVK. Yeah, you guys, boomers are like, you either just like listen to ABBA. And like, or like my dad, he just listens to like 50s and 60s country. That's it. Anyhow. So then I find out this duet with Casey Musgraves, she wrote with Mindy Smith. And I'm just like, what the hell? There's too many synchronicities. And not only do I just love all her lyrics, anyhow, I'm kind of obsessed with her. And another artist that's related to that, why I said, is this guy medium build, Nick Carpenter, who I love, who I discovered. So I discovered him watching a documentary about Alaska. And this guy in the documentary, and then all of a sudden at the end of this documentary on YouTube that I'm watching about Alaska, I don't know why, this guy pulls out a guitar and starts singing this song where like the hook is 99 Corolla. And I'm like, that song is good. And I'm like, that must actually be a song. And so I look up the song 99 Corolla. Sure enough, it's this guy Medium Build. And Medium Build is one of my favorite artists I've discovered recently. And so anyhow, I'm in a renaissance of my own personal music tastes. Now that's related. So how do I find music when like I used to find music prior to the internet just through personal recommendations and like old school. Like we had the Now Music, and what was that mail order like buy CDs thing? You know what I'm talking about? Where they would mail you like a magazine of music, and you could look at it and you could order them and you could send it back. I don't know. That's like when I was a kid. I used to do that. It had the name. I'm forgetting it. Put it in the comments. And then it was just personal recommendations, older brothers, siblings. You'd go through your older siblings or uncles or what parents, musical catalogs. And then internet, Napster, college, Pandora came out where you just listened to Pandora. Yes, Columbia Record Club. Thank you, PBK. You know what that is. That's like the thing that happened between our generations, you know? That was more like a Gen X thing, I feel like. It was record. For me, it was CDs, dude. I wasn't ever old enough for records. But I am old enough where I would love to get into records now, but I can't yet. Nico, thank you. I'm a boomer. So anyhow, all this is music. Now this goes to one of the impetuses for this thing. I'm going to share screen. Nope. Why do I always click on share link? It's not what I want to do. So PaulAnleitner shared this image. And he was saying it's of the Rolling Stones' most influential content creators. What are we doing here? Is this showing up? Okay, I know who Drewski is, probably because of his collabs with other people. Like I've seen him on there's some like sports comedy show. What the hell's that guy's name? Long blonde hair. People know what I'm talking about. I've seen him on there and with Theo Vaughn. Miss Rachel, I just found out who that was on my son's college tour by some like morning talk show at a continental breakfast. I Show Speed has showed up in my algorithm. I don't really know who he is. Mr. Beast, I know who it is. Hassan Piker, I know who he is. He's like a streamer. Not quite as good as me, but you know, whatever. Streamer. I think it's major. It's like culture war, politics, I think. I saw him on... He did an interview with somebody I pay attention to. Is Alex Cooper one of the like Barstool, like that podcast people who now has her own podcast thing? I don't know. Theo Vaughn, I know who it is. Iron Mouse, like some flippin' cartoon avatar. Like this is where I feel like a boomer. I'm like, what the hell are we doing? What is this? I don't know who any of these other people are. Kai apparently is a video game streamer. Neil told me. I don't know. I don't know who these people are. But then, and what did Paul say? This one might be hard for millennials and older to understand. There isn't a pro athlete or Hollywood actor that has more cultural influence with young Zoomers and Gen Alpha than the people on this list. Your Brad Pitt and Michael Jordan is their Mr. Beast and Kai. And I just think, okay, well, what it makes me think about, so this is kind of where I want to go. Very boomery take, Phlebas, a list of unimaginably degenerate garbage. See, here's where this is the TLC shift I want to have with this conversation, is a recurring motif in TLC conversations is generational handoff. So I would say both cultural, religious, normative, generational handoff. Like, what are the values that I want to instill in the coming generations, in my children, perhaps? And I would say people who are more robustly religious and consciously religious, not irreligious in the Jonathan Haidt kind of secular frame, not the spiritual but not religious, the really religious people, the people that believe religious practice is important, they will probably want to instill these things in their children, and they will probably be procreating. They will be creative, but procreating actual human beings, actual children, because that is probably the most effectual way. And ancients knew this. Ancients clearly knew this. The most effectual way to get your values and beliefs and God and the things that you love into the next generation is in your children. There's nothing more natural than that, having children. Modern people think that you can transfer your values ideologically, and that's just straight up silly pants. Not gonna happen, I don't think. I would strongly disagree that like ideological transfer is going to happen, because it's too fleeting. It's propositional tyranny. It's merely psychological. It's rooted in the ego. Like it's got to be embodied. It's got to be in your body. Bodily belief matters. Incarnational belief matters. And what is a more embodied way to pass on your inheritance and your heritage than by procreation and having children? Listen, you could send him some John Piper sermons. I don't think they will resonate. They don't listen to what I say. I mean, they do, but not like the intellectual stuff. It's the whole thing. It's like beliefs are more caught rather than taught, and pay attention to what I do, not necessarily what I say. Right? I mean, that's the stuff that's going to stick, especially with your kids. They're not going to believe. Silly pants. Yeah, silly pants is a real thing. So, so passing on your cultural heritage, which this is the one thing, and it wasn't in a lyric. This is the one thing Maddie Diaz said in her concert where she was speaking. Number one, both artists felt like, they said something political, which I don't, whatever. Feel free to say something political, but like, it's just not something I'm a fan of. I mean, you're your own person and you can do what you want. I don't care what side of the political line you're going to say something on, but I'm just like, what is the value and the point of doing that? It really does feel a lot more like a kind of luxury belief, virtue signaling. I don't think she's consciously doing that. I'm not saying that, Maddie, if you watch this, but that's what it feels like to me, because what do you think saying something political from the stage is going to say? Either the people in the crowd already agree with you, which in Minneapolis they do, largely, or they don't, and they're going to be offended by what you say. Like, it's not going to, like, how are we changing hearts and minds by making political comments from a stage? Or by protesting. I don't think we do. Although I believe there's probably a time for everything. There's a season. There's probably a time to protest. I just think it should probably be rare. But she said this from the stage, is she was writing a song because she has all these brilliant songwriters and friends and people that she knows, like Mindy Smith. And she also wrote a song for, there's this younger pop star, Maylene Morris. Morin? What is her name? I don't know what her name is. You know what I'm talking about? Maylene Morris. I think that's Maren Morris. There, that's who it is. Born in 1990. Like, who even are you? But I think she's got some big songs. But I think Maddie Diaz wrote one of her songs. Anyhow, there was some other guy she was writing a song with, and she said he came up with this lyric that's still one of her favorite lyrics, where he said, which sounds very much like a country song. It was something like, I'd rather be on a fishing boat thinking about God than in a church thinking about fishing. And I was like, I mean, I understand the sentiment and I get it, but that's such a post-sacramentalist way of viewing it. Like, I remember my priest even said once in church that he said, it's a devaluing of ritual and where your body is. It's putting what's valuable in your conscious prefrontal cortex awareness. It's a lopsided left brain, Ian McGilchrist way of viewing the world, because you think what's really important are the ideas that I'm thinking about. And what I really value are my ideas and what takes up my conscious awareness. And listen, that is important. Focal awareness is important, Michael Polanyi. But also what's important is subsidiary focal integration and taking your focal awareness, repetitively taking your focal awareness and embodying it and building, cognitive science, building neural pathways in your unconscious mind so that you can do things that don't take up your prefrontal cortex. It's why you can ride a bike. It's why you can drive a car. It's why you breathe. It's why you can do most of the things that you want. It's probably not why you breathe. But if you want to change the way that you breathe in kind of like a Wim Hof way and do different kinds of breathing for your health, you will have to refocus on your breath in a subsidiary focal way and rebuild neural pathways so that your breathing changes. So anyhow, I didn't like that lyric. What was I talking about before lyrics? Before that lyric. Damn it. Lost the thread. No, I mean, there's a point. There's a point, Nate, to what she's saying. I'm just saying there's also a point to the inverse of it, which is that there's value in going to church even if your head isn't there all the time. There's value in that discipline. What is important is not merely what you're thinking about in your conscious awareness right now. And so there's value in just putting your body in church even if you don't feel like going. What she says is true too. Like, being out in nature and thinking about God is also valuable. It's just like, it's not an either or. Again, we have to resist the urge to claim you can't be a person unless you go to liturgy. It's not what I'm saying either. Okay. What was I talking about before this? Dang. Chris, thank you. Yeah. A longtime country singer, songwriter. Yeah. Cause I don't know. Cause I think they probably wrote this song together. It was a dope song, whatever. Cause I think it must be a song that she recorded or that Maddie wrote with her, but she played the song. She said she was feeling it at the concert. I can't remember what it was, but it was a great song. Okay, builder. What are we? Okay, pause. Intermission. If I had branding, I would play it. Okay. We were talking about music. Oh, generational handoff. Let's go. Pause again. Sorry, I'm back. I'm talking to my wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, smart, talented, lovely daughter. Just a shining star in a dark night sky where she shines so bright. Okay. Generational handoff. That's where I want to go. And then I'm going to open this up because so when people say, okay, boomer, and it's like, you're out of touch. Here's the thing. It's somewhat inevitable that I'm going to be out of touch with my kids and Gen Alpha and Zoomers as they come up, because What you see and hear depends a lot upon where you're standing and the kind of person you are. You cannot completely divorce yourself from your culture, your upbringing, your generation, your cultural influences. That's not possible. But I do want to be as in touch as I can be with coming generations, my children, and younger people than me in TLC. Like what Christian Baxter is trying to do in the TLC. And again, the TLC is also, quick pause. I'll come back to it. I'm Christian Baxter. I want a list. Can we make a playlist? Can we make a TLC playlist of what is the TLC so that when we reference the TLC, there's like a playlist you can point people to? I know there's a few really good videos. I know Chris McDonald made a great one, Waves of Obsession. I pointed someone to that the other day in a comment, in a reply. I feel like Chad, the girl dad, the alcoholic, has made good ones. I feel like there's got to be some really good. PVK has probably made a good This Little Corner, but okay, This Little Corner of the Internet, what it is a group of people, I think, that centered around Paul Vanderklay in the post-Jordan Peterson phenomenon, saying it's people with some degree of religious affiliation, post-Christian, ex-Christian, Christian, non-theist, agnostic, atheist, Jewish, hopefully some increasing Islamic people. If my friend that I met at the University of Chicago is here, comment, buddy. I'd love to engage with you. I'd love for you to come on stream. I'd love for you to talk to me. I would love for more Islamic people in here. We have some Buddhists. We have some California Buddhists. I don't know. Do we have Hindu people? Whatever. We do have Kalia, who is Hare Krishna. Jason is very interested in that. We've got some witches. We got people. We got some occultists. Whatever. We got lots of people. But in the TLC, we like to talk about meaning. We like to talk about religion. We like to talk about culture. We like to talk about the thing behind the thing behind the thing. And it's we're virtually not alone, Grim Grizz. And we live stream, we make videos, we have ongoing conversations. We actually use YouTube as a social media platform. It's not just a content generator that serves up the algo that we just eat information. We interact with each other. We talk. We leave great comments. We develop friendships. We have in real life conferences. That's the TLC. So Christian Baxter, one of the people in the TLC, the journalist of the TLC, he's been doing his Zoomer roundtable discussions, with Afriel, Noah, President Foxman, Joseph Lambrecht. Who else is in those bad boys? Aren't those the main ones? Maybe Gray Hamilton would be in there. Gray's younger. Nick, you're too old. Nick doesn't count as a Zoomer, do you? I don't know where you are. Whatever. I want something that a lot of people my age complain about is that boomers did not have perhaps the self-awareness and I think a lot of it is self-awareness. I really do. They were way too sincerity culture, where they just got what they were handed. And this isn't, and in one way of thinking, again, I have so many perspectives, I'm losing perspective. I can see other perspectives. I think why a lot of people don't like me is they can't see there's many perspectives going on in here. There's a lot. It's a mosaic vision of perspectives, right? A mosaic. There's lots of different images that have a collective whole that you can't define, which was also a great line from J.D. Lionheart, Nate, and Jordan Daniel Wood's conversation about Trinitarianism from South Estuary. Is they said Nate made this comment, great comment in it. He said, there's always something where you get to that and you see, but you can't define. That is a person. It's the ground. The person is the infinite transcendent ground from which everything comes. The unity, it's multiplicity and unity. That's the person. Anyhow, it was a great line. So, lost the thread again. Mosaic vision. Oh, generational handoff. Yeah, it's not necessarily boomers' fault. That's where we're at. Because they were just so sincerity culture. Like, they don't even know if you have some degree of if you can't divorce yourself from yourself and analytically and self-critically look at yourself, if perhaps the cultural medium hasn't evolved coupled with technology somewhat to the point that you don't have self reflexivity, like, what are you going to do about it? Like, it's almost like because I was watching, it was unlisted, but it'll come back up. Michael Sartori had a rando with his dad. So his dad did a three-way rando. And a rando is PVK interviewing just a random person, not a celebrity, nobody, no one of note, not necessarily anyone credentialed or special, or that would be in a traditional hierarchy that someone would pay attention to them. A rando, which the TLC is full of randos. And so he did a rando conversation with his dad, which is just his story. Tell me about the house you grew up in. And it's unlisted. It'll come back. And I was thinking, it was impressive to me that Michael Sartori's dad did that, because I don't know that my dad would be capable of that. I've wanted to do something like that with my mom and my dad for a long time, because I love this thing. I love the TLC. This is basically my only hobby. I love talking about all this stuff, philosophy and religion, online. I love doing it in a rigorous way. I love the contrarian nature of TLC. I love how people push back. I love how it's very diverse. I have never been able to have conversations like this with local people in my life. I never really have. And that's one of the big reasons. That's a common factor among all the different randos in the TLC. And that's one of the reasons we do this. And part of the reason I think my dad or my mom wouldn't really be able to do this is they don't have that self-reflexivity. They don't have that degree of self-awareness. If you were to ask them, I was imagining this, PVK asking my dad, tell me about the house you grew up in. And he was like, I don't know. I kind of feel like he wouldn't even be able to answer the question. I'm just like, it would almost be a challenge to PVK to just be like, could you get Luke's dad to do a rando? Would you be a skilled enough interviewer and rando person and pastor to be able to extract from him his story? I don't know. You get it. Exactly. Cadell, good to see you, buddy. Yes. Son, why are you asking me all these gay questions? But this is my dad. Yeah. Who sired you, boy? Where the hell did you come from? My parents look at me and they know me and they love me and they understand me to some degree, but they also don't understand me at all, which is one of the reasons I relate to Maddie Diaz's lyrics. I think she had great parents, because she has a lyric about one of the things her dad told her, which was like, Dad used to say, you can have everything, just not all at the same time, which is a great song. Everything, almost everything. So good. That's another thing. Sometimes when I love music so much, like Medium Build, like my boy Chezi, if he's here, I shared with him Medium Build song Rage. Chezi loved it. When someone loves things that I love them more. Does that make me a narcissism, or is that make me a narcissist, or is that like the Tolkien, like, you too, you love this thing too? Like, oh, sweet. We are as one because of the other. I don't think it's wrong to love people more that love things that you love, because you have mutual self-edifying love of a greater love. But Kezi really liked Rage, Medium Build song. And sometimes when I share music with people, or even this, like, I'll share TLC stuff with people. Sarah Hardy and I used to talk about this back early TLC days, like 6-7 years ago. You'd share like a Jordan Peterson video or a Peugeot video or a PDK video with someone. And of course, they're not going to listen to it. Normies, as we call them in the TLC, aren't going to listen to like a 2-hour PDK video or whatever. And so then we would start to clip it. This is where like the clipping culture came in. And we'd be like, okay, just listen to this 2 minutes. Just listen to this 20 seconds. Please, just listen to this. This is so important. And they'd listen to it and they don't care. You can't make someone care about the things you care about. But when you share something with someone that you love, you're just like, this music, like Maddie Diaz's music, like I have not had something I have not had art resonate with me this deeply. She's become like one of my favorite artists since I was young. Do you know how powerful that is for me? I'm an emotional person. Like my enthusiasm, my Jordan Peterson Big Five enthusiasm and like excitement about things, although I do think I'm a weird kind of introvert, is 98th percentile. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, Philippe, it's probably true. They'd medicate my personality away. Yeah, I probably have ADHD. And if I was on ADHD medication, I would probably be muted. Hugely muted. A lot of the things that I love about myself, like I love that I'm a passionate person. I do love that. This is something too I want to think about. An aside. We'll get back to generational handoff and then I'll drop the link. I Whatever isn't assumed isn't redeemed, right? That's a church father saying. And it's part of what the doctrine of the incarnation is all about. Whatever isn't assumed isn't redeemed. So Christ took on human nature, back to all the Sam, Christology, David Bentley Hart conversations, in order to redeem fallen human nature. Now, he put it on. Now, here's the thing. Human nature in and of itself couldn't exist if it wasn't existing in God, because only God has self-existence. So humanity to exist, period, has to exist somehow in God. But anyhow, he took on human nature in order to redeem it, so that God became man, that man should become God. Irenaeus, right? I think that there is the tradition, obviously, of I heard Nathan Jacobs talk about this, of Stoicism. Classic Stoicism is something that Christianity has much in common with, and St. Paul would quote the Stoics. Like I think the whole what's the line from? Is it in Him we live and move and have our being? Is that a Stoic line? I think it is. Anyhow, there's lines in the New Testament that are taken from the Stoics, the contemporaneous Stoic philosophers of St. Paul. And the idea of the passions is just he said our modern conceptions of Stoicism aren't true, where it's like being Stoic, like unemotional. He said that's not what the Stoics were talking about. What Stoicism was that you need to be self-aware and exercise self-control over your passions and your emotions, your kind of mere biological animalistic reactions to whatever happens, and you need to submit them to your higher intellect or noetic knowledge, the nous. And so you don't want to be tossed around by your emotions. You don't want to be controlled and dictated by your emotions, but you want to submit them to a higher self, which is the nous. But it's not like emotions aren't bad. It's not that emotions are bad. Again, whatever is assumed is not redeemed. Redeemed emotions are a blessing. They're a gift of God. To be emotional is a gift of God. The gift of tears, the gift of love, the gift of passion, charisma, grace, riz. To quote the youngsters, it's a gift. Can it be abused? Yes, but it's not. It's an amplifier. It's an amplifier of your heart. It's like money. Is money good or bad? No, the love of money is evil, but money is just an amplifier. Money is a blessing if you're the kind of person to be blessed by it. Emotions are a blessing if you're the kind of person to be blessed by it. If you exercise self-control, and as Dr. Chris E.W. Green has said, self-control is the pinnacle of Christian virtue. And it's not a kind of weird, prudish pietism, although prudency is a good thing. Okay. Generational handoff. I want to be in touch enough, as much as is possible, with coming generations so that I can speak to them. Because that's one of the criticisms my generation has of boomers is you didn't mentor. Largely, I think people would say this. You didn't mentor us. You didn't help us. You didn't counsel us. You didn't ask what we wanted, what we thought, what we needed. You just kind of you got the sincerity culture that you were handed. You just followed the script that you were handed and you did it. And you worked hard. And that's good. But you were not paying attention to the modes and the changes of what was going on. You weren't being meta about things. I don't even know you had the capacity to be meta. And this Eric Hoff quote that I love, in times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned, the ones who know, back here, like this is what I've been handed, this is my generation, this is my culture, boom, the learned. While the learned, so learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped for a world that no longer exists, because the world is always changing. The times they are a changing. The Rolling Stone, you know? Oh, the times they are a changing. All right. I want, if someone comes to me for advice, whether it's my kids or wisdom or like, which my kids do sometimes, thank God. Thank God that I've cultivated the kind of relationship with my kids where occasionally they do come to me and say, what should I do? Like a genuine question, what should I do in this situation? I want that. I want people that are younger than me. Like in some of these private group chats, I've been sharing personal stories that I don't talk about on live streams with this group of younger guys I'm in group chats with, because like I pray to God it helps you. I really do. I want, if I can share wisdom with you to help you avoid pitfalls that I've struggled with, God, like that is wisdom. If you listen to the wisdom of those that came before you, perhaps you don't have to learn by the school of hard knocks of just walking through it and learning through the pain and failure of walking through it. Like perhaps you borrowed wisdom. If you can embody it and live it in a way, perhaps you can avoid unnecessary pain. Is there even such a thing? I don't know. Dude, I'm trying. I'm trying to get the Minnesota mullet. Okay, it's just subtle. All right, let's drop the link. Let's get some people in here. Let's talk about these things. And then I can have a potty break. Let's rock and roll. I need to. Oh, somebody also, I guess I was supposed to, if we want to integrate this stuff, because I was supposed to talk about, I didn't do this. I said, what should I stream about tomorrow? Neil said Mammon. It's been ages. And then Economician said the Islamic dilemma seems to be very popular right now. I attended a stream last night that lasted for 5 hours, but I never figured out what they were talking about. Because then Jason Almontree said, what is the Islamic dilemma? And I said, Islamic immigration, see, and its compatibility with Western liberalism. Like, I don't know. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but okay, I am going to pin my thing. Here we go. You're going to hear me talk. Yep, there I'm talking again. Pin it. Pin messaged. Has anybody come in yet? No, they haven't. Okay, so let's go look at, come in. The water's fine. It's nice. It's nice in here. You can come in, share your thoughts. Seabax had somebody that broke the fourth wall. Who was it? What was the guy's name? In Seabax's last live stream that he did yesterday or whatever. Somebody broke the fourth wall who's been watching for a while. That was great. He was a lurker. That was fantastic. No, I don't want to leave StreamYard. Cancel. All right, let's look at some comments. Oh, I didn't catch this, Al. Mark and Nathan discussed Islam and its compatibility with other religions and societies. What's the link, or what was the title of the conversation? I saw Mark's. I need to finish Nathan's rando that Mark did, his on-ramp radio. And but I have not I've been busy with family and life. What up, Graham?
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi.
What do you think? What are your thoughts about the topic at hand?
I just tuned in right when you opened it up. I was watching what I think I'm gonna assign you something.
Okay.
Here though is that lurker reveal
Oh, sweet.
yesterday.
Let's play it.
Do.
Just kind of wanted to introduce myself to you, come out of the
Hey,
lurk,
Mike.
so to speak. But yeah, definitely really interested in what you had to say earlier today about kind of Gen Z and
That's all.
to off.
Michael
Spot.
Declerk. Michael, are you here now? Are you watching my live stream? You could come on to this one and
He
have
was a deck lurk, and now he's not
Now-
lurked so much.
Yeah.
So I got to give you an assignment. You
Okay.
got to be the one that covers the Tucker Carlson Fuentes piece for the corner,
Are you just giving me that assignment to give me
because everything they talk
drama?
about is an issue, and that the corner needs to address everything that happened in that thing, and I don't. It shouldn't be me.
So okay, so here's another. So that's related to the thing I'm talking about. And Seabax is trying to go in here, which I love Seabax for doing this. I think it's great. He's like, you can put your head in the sand about Nick Fuentes and pretend like he doesn't exist or not like him or think he's dumb or crazy. But like younger people, someone's listening to him. So like, do you want to be able to relate to these people that are paying attention to him? Well, you should probably know something about him. I don't know anything about him.
You should know what he represents. The way, like, it'd be nice to have seen woke coming.
Yeah. Well, true. Right. Absolutely.
Like whatever he's the poster boy of is a factor that you should be aware of their position.
Right. I mean, what I see him as the poster boy of, and again, I just told you, I don't know anything about him. And one of the rules of my channel is I want to wage war against powers and principalities and ideas, not persons. So this isn't about the person.
That's why I'm giving you the assignment. Because like, all the ideas in that discussion are topics that we should see what happens at the our discussion level with those topics.
Yeah, sure. That's probably good. However, I've been trying to get okay with the corner delving into politics, but I'm wondering somewhat, like especially if I live stream less, if PVK isn't putting out homerooms, he's talking about post-war consensus. Like I don't want politics to completely overwhelm and become the corner. Like I don't want us to become just completely obsessed with politics.
I think the corner's role with regard to politics is as the people who are abandoning politics as a religion.
Hopefully.
That's what, like, that's who we're here to help, I think. Like,
okay. Well, because that's the thing.
We talk politics.
Yeah.
Like, other than getting people under their zone of proximal influence, or just out of the political religion.
Yeah.
I think we can help with. I don't
Which
know.
I'm
we can help
all about. Yeah, I'm all about that. But so like what I see Nick Fuentes as, without like much knowledge of him or listening to him that much, is he is like the poster boy of the negative side of Trump and like an increasing alt-right or like right fascistic kind of ethno-nationalist thing, which is dumb. Like, I don't know. Because I've seen a few of the things in private chats and things that he's said. And dude, it's just like, you're not. And then I see, like, I watched some interview.
Well, him on Tucker is him dressed up for church.
Right.
Like I
right,
said,
right.
The topics should be in our realm of discussion.
I saw some interview with him where he was sounding very, like, I don't know, religious Christian-y. But then I see these private things that he's saying, and I'm like, dude, you're two-faced. Like, that is not.
Or more.
Yeah. And so I don't. And then I think, like, young people who are paying attention to him. Okay, what's the cards?
I'm shuffling in the certification card, I guess. This is the deck that the ups gave me.
The golden ticket.
Yeah.
But because, like, there's people act differently in different spaces, you know, like there's certain things that I would say not publicly that I'm not going to talk about here for a variety of reasons, but like I'm not like talking about Jews and saying like whatever you backstab me, F you, dude. Like I'm not like that. Like I don't do that stuff even in private.
I don't know what you're talking about anymore.
Well, it's just private Nick Fuentes leaks, whatever. I just don't. Somebody who does stuff like that.
Like I said, don't make it about him. It's about the ideas.
True. Sorry. Yeah. True. All right. Well, I'll watch it. I will watch it. How about that?
Those ideas need poster boys that aren't him, in some sense, is part of it.
True, because there are people like I think someone who's a good. Although he doesn't really have the ethnic part of it, but like someone I really disagree with about some factors of these things is Douglas Wilson. Like Douglas Wilson gets very, I think people portray him in a certain way that's not accurate at all. I mean, people have done that forever. Like Rachel Held Evans, memory eternal, used to do that with Douglas Wilson all the time.
You're name dropping like on evangelism or something.
Yeah.
Because I don't know any of it.
You didn't follow Douglas Wilson? PBK talks about Douglas Wilson sometimes. He just had an interview. He's gotten more publicity because he's
the Moscow guy, right?
Yeah, the Moscow, Idaho guy. He had that conversation with Ross Douthat.
The way you say his name makes it sound like not him somehow.
Douglas Wilson?
Yeah. I don't know.
Doug Wilson?
I don't know. Anyway.
Michael Sartori, what up, my friend?
Well, I just wanted to say that the most important thing for people to know about Doug Wilson is that he wrote a novel about a guy who's has like a neighbor move in that's married to a sex robot, and then the guy kills the sex robot, and he goes on trial, and they have to have a trial about like is killing a sex robot that somebody is married to like murder or whatever.
Wow. So Doug Wilson is also a sci-fi author.
Yeah.
That's what we need to know. All right. Is Murdering a Sex Bot, the Doug Wilson book.
Also, great movie about a sex doll, Lars and the Real Girl. Fantastic. Ryan Gosling. Never misses. Never.
And on that note,
it is a really good movie. Matt, there's someone. Okay, it says device is not connected. You will need to connect their mic or cam before I can add you to the screen. So Matt, you're trying to get in here, but I can't see you or hear you, and so I'm not going to add you to the screen until I can see you or hear you. So maybe log out, check your settings, and come back in. Because listen, we've had situations of adding people to the stream before that hasn't gone well. You know, when you can't see sometimes they put up things that should not go up on a screen. Jason,
what's up?
Dude, I'm disappointed. Do you know why I'm disappointed?
No, why are you disappointed?
Think about it a little bit. Think about it.
What? It's because of my soda drinking habits?
I mean, that's one of the things. It's because I can't see those beautiful shoulders.
Oh, I have a tank top on.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen this one?
You're covered up.
Rebecca got it for me.
Oh, yeah. That's so great. It's like yeah. Sartori can love that one, too. Because it's very, like, WWE. Get the
F yeah. I was like, why? I didn't get the reference. Yeah, I might have to mute randomly because the little dog you hear, he's guarding his box of food and just
I didn't realize you had a shitty little Pomeranian.
He's not mine.
Oh.
We're at my mother-in-law's house.
Yeah. Look at who we have. Look at this Joseph.
Yeah,
Joseph.
get in it. What's he doing? Oh my god.
Needs to get in here.
Matt
Frells. Come on, dude.
I was actually talking to Cal 2 days ago about the whole Diwali thing that happened on Mark Parker's stream, and how just looking at Hinduism, being able to talk cross interreligion, however you want to say that.
Yeah.
Listen,
being able to connect with people, that's part of the generational handoff thing that I'm talking about. Like, I need to understand this stuff, like, that's coming, whether it's Nick Fuentes, whether it's TikTok, whether it's brain rot, whether it's all this stuff these kids talk about that I don't flipping know what you're talking about. I want to be able to understand your culture at least enough to mediate. It's mediation, and to what degree is that wise and is it not wise? Like, I can't, like, all the people on that list, I can't become familiar with all those people. I can't. I don't have time. Hinduism, I can't figure out Hinduism. I don't have time. That's why I have you and Cal. I'm like, you figure it all out and then tell me about it. And I'll trust you, because all knowledge that's true is personal anyhow.
Yeah. Because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I love Hinduism. I love that religion. I just don't. I actually don't even really think it's polytheism. It's just strange how it does get. I feel like it is kind of a straw man the way people treat it most of the time. Just kind of dismissing it as devil or idol worship or something like that. I just don't think it's quite that simple. I don't know that it's necessarily right, but I just don't think it's as simple as that. And there's a lot of aspects to it that are really, really beautiful. Yeah, like Almighty Om said, Hinduism is monotheism. To my understanding, nearly every religion kind of results in some sort of monotheism if you just ask them enough questions.
So this is related to stuff Mark Parker's been talking about in his streams, and it's a very TLC topic. It's like whether or not you're calling someone a heretic or saying they're not okay and they can't be okay with God. And Mark was saying that he was struggling with people saying, so here's something, Mark, if you're here, I'm going to challenge you on something, or it's not even a challenge. It's, I want to understand. So you're saying on one hand, you want to understand how you're criticizing people who say you can't be right with God when you're in other religions, whether it's Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, whatever. But like, clearly they can be all right with God in some way, but then Mark is also adamantly opposed to my Christian universalism. And I'm just like, dude, that's what I'm saying. I am simultaneously saying that people can be okay with God and not be within dogmatic Christian religions, because what you believe is more about what you do and how you live your life. It's like Emeth in The Last Battle. C.S. Lewis's The Last Battle. It's like he thought he was worshiping Tash. He's really worshiping Aslan. So like that's part of my worldview, is that not every road leads to God, but you'll find God on every road. Like that kind of quote. While simultaneously saying, I have certain convictions and belief about doctrinal propositional things. Like, I can disagree with you about this, whether it's an intra-Christian debate or an inter-religious debate about ideas, and still think that you can be okay with God. Like, that's what my belief affords me.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is that was another thing I was talking to Cal about too, just for that we talk about all the time, the concept of forgiveness, and that it's kind of a weird judgment, because it is like a judgment that renders you out of judgment if you lean into it. So you can preach like a really, really hardline message, like, and there can actually be a monotheistic, like almost very, very seemingly dualistic religion, like this and not that, because it is this one thing and not that. Because if it's not forgiveness, then you don't have forgiveness, and it's like there is like a judgment in it that I don't know. What's up? Let's let these other guys talk.
Yeah, let's let listen. When I get a random Phlebas coming on here, I get very excited. Anytime Phlebas comes on my stream, I love it, because Phlebas is almost certainly going to tell me how I'm full of shit about something.
Yeah, I get scared because he's way smarter than both of us.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it, Phlebas. Set us straight. You're still muted.
Does my mic work?
It does work. You sound a little, like you're driving around in a truck, but...
Is that any better?
Yeah.
A little bit.
All right, I'll just talk. So nobody's talking about your topic again, Luke.
I know. This is what happens, dude, but I'm trying to be hospitable.
Do you think so what you were saying sort of sounds like you're trying to be relevant? And
I was a subscriber to that magazine.
Yeah. I wonder how useful that is. So when I think about people who had an impact on me and understood me, or who had the most influence on my faith or formed me the strongest, it basically has nothing to do with them being relevant or being aware of the cultural issues. So, for example, I had a grandfather who he's passed away, but I don't know, he would have been born in the 20s, I think, right? And the thing I remember most about him was that when he prayed, it felt like the oxygen left the room and God came in, right? And that has nothing to do with, and I still think about that regularly, and that challenges me, informs me, and the impact that had on me. And that has nothing to do with my grandpa knowing anything about the latest Nick Fuentes thing. So, and then similarly, I have a pastor right now who's not on social media at all. And every once in a while, he'll reference something in the culture, and you can just tell the reference is like 20 years old. It doesn't really work anymore. But it's actually comforting knowing that he's not on social media. Not that he's tremendously old or anything, but it's like he's not getting his topics or whatever. Yeah, he's not just riding that current wave. So I guess I'm pushing back against what you were talking about, how you want to be able to get to connect with the kids via via the latest thing. So I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that, and I think that's it's probably one of those things where when I'm talking about anything, I'm talking about me. I'm not trying to give general prescriptions that everybody should do, because what you're saying is clearly true. We also need to learn from the kind of people, and I have, in the same way that you learned from your grandpa. Like, I learned tons of things from my dad, although, like, this is the way that I would say it. One of the gifts that my dad gave me was not giving me what I wanted in a dad in a certain way. Like, that's one of the gifts that he gave me. And I learned, and when I became mature enough to accept that gift, it was a blessing to me. And we need that. We need that as well. So I hear you.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm asking is about the timeless wisdom versus the stuff of the moment.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've made a bunch of decisions. I'd be curious about you with your kids, or say when you switch churches. If you're thinking about your children, I made a bunch of decisions like that about formation, where it was like, no, we can't keep doing this thing because it's forming them in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're pretty careful with screens.
Mm-hmm.
The big one for us was education, and we switched churches at one point because it was like, well, this is fine for us because we're sort of above it, but the way this is forming our kids is clearly not something that long term I want to be a part of. So we switched for that reason as well. So I'd be curious, did you, with this formation thing, like, have you done deeper things than that than just do your Fuentes homework?
So I feel like I heard two questions in there. The first is, like, a big part of the transition for church was for the kids, because, and I mean, I've talked about this before, but like the church we were going to was just a general non-denominational church. And I've asked the question before, like when you give your kids non-denominational evangelicalism as their tradition, I don't know what that really is. I mean, I do and I don't, but it's like, what church are they going to be attending when they're adults? Are they going to be attending the same church I'm going to right now? Probably not. Like most of these churches haven't even been around a decade, and they probably don't last much longer than a decade. So then what is that? And I knew with probably, like the big three that people name within Christianity, whether it's Anglicanism, Catholicism, or Orthodoxy, like those churches are going to be around most likely when my kids are adults and when when I have grandkids. And I wasn't even, to tell you the truth, I wasn't even open to Catholicism at all. I didn't even think about it. Even though my younger,
I think I'm
until I
asking
became
about,
Orthodox. Yeah.
in line with the beginning of your stream. So one of the things that was really formative for me was hymn singing, and like the power of a congregation singing a hymn. And a lot of this is my boomer take, I guess, for Free Rillian, but a lot of the contemporary worship, I kind of think, what are they forming this into? Or, how is this affecting? Because I know how much the music affected me when I was younger. So instead of like doing the tradition polemics, did you think about stuff like that?
Yeah, the musical stuff. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I did really. And I probably didn't even know enough, because when we started going to the Orthodox Church, I probably didn't know enough about it to even know, really. I mean, all I knew was the theology. Like, I basically knew Orthodoxy is mystical Christianity. They don't have a focus on the legislative penal stuff nearly as much. It emphasizes apophatic over cataphatic theology. I knew that stuff. And I was like, awesome. Sounds good. Seems like the best theology for me. Like I've said, I chose it for very like rational Protestant intellectual reasons. But as far as like the liturgical stuff and all that a lot of people talk about, I didn't know any of that stuff. And it was very foreign to me. Like iconography was foreign to me. All of the clothes were foreign to me, the vestments. And I've learned to appreciate that stuff. It's beautiful, like it's beautiful in its own way. But then there is also certain problems with it that Orthodoxy is going to have to work out. Like some of the problems my wife has is she can appreciate everything I just said, but then she's like, it feels foreign to me. Like this isn't my culture. And that's a legit point. What my culture is, the things that form me are the same as you. I love hymns. Like I'll still go to my parents' church that I think has shit theology, and I'll listen to hymns and I'll start crying. So I mean, I don't know. We're all just figuring this out and flailing around. Matt, I want to get Matt in. We can keep talking about this, but I want to see what Matt has to say. He hasn't talked.
So does my mic work?
It does.
I'm jumping off. See you guys.
Okay. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. How are you, buddy?
Good. I'm breaking the wall. So
nice.
Here I am. And yeah. So Boomer, that's what took me so long to get on. I'm definitely Boomer teching with my old 10-year-old, 12-year-old computer here. But yeah. So
I love it. That's everything. We got a new family computer last year, I think, which still isn't great because CW made fun of me when he came to my house, but because I don't have the big setup. He's just like, are you just looking at this tiny screen over here in the commentary? I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Shut up. It's fine. But at least this one works. So anyhow,
what's the take? So we're passing the gap, the boomer to the millennial, the Gen Z torch is a gaping hole.
Well, I mean, I think that's probably the bigger overriding question of, I think the boomer to millennial handoff wasn't great.
Right. You were saying I missed something earlier. You were saying something about the sincerity culture, like they got it, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. So that's a term that I think PV, like Paul Vanderklay, came up with it, but we talk about there's like these threefold things. He talks about sincerity culture, authenticity culture, and then prophilicity culture.
Okay.
So like sincerity culture is kind of like you just get what you're inherited in an unconscious way. It's almost like son of Tom. My dad was a pastor. I'm a pastor. My son will be a pastor. You just do farmer. You just get what you're, and that's kind of, I think most of the world operated that way because we didn't have the kind of mobility and technological innovation to be any different. Like before the combustion engine and the airplane and now the internet, that's all you had limited options. That's just, so sincerity culture was natively a part of that medium. But then we got into, with millennials, my generation is kind of the first generation of being, and I'm on the older side of that, is kind of the first generation of authenticity, because we grew up with like Graham Grizz talks about, TV, MTV. What do you think about this stuff? Is like, what feels genuine and authentic to you? That's authenticity culture. Like, how am I different from the generation I've been handed, which was kind of foreign to the world largely, but then it just became boom. Like the whole culture was kind of that way. And now we're in what's pro-felicity culture, which is what we're doing now. It's the age of social media and the internet and avatars and these screens and who do you present yourself as versus who you really are. And how do you relate to that? Which for someone my age, like even doing this, someone my age, live streaming is not that common. Like this is very much a Zoomer Gen Alpha thing.
Right. That's when I came across you guys. I was like, it was something about tank tops. You were tank topping, right? And
yeah.
You tank topping too. And we kind of looked the same. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
I was like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
And then you kept going on and on and on. And you had some pretty good tweets. And I was just like, and then you kept talking about breaking the fourth wall, and you were just railing McLuhan and this and that. And I was just like, what is this?
So dude, tell me more about yourself. Like, what is your background with this little corner? Do you know Paul Vanderklay?
Nope.
Awesome. Perfect.
Total rando. You're like, yeah, rando this and rando that. No, you were basically just, you were doing what you seem to do. Like I've seen probably 3, 4, maybe 5 streams.
Okay.
It's like, what is this?
Do you have a tank top?
Oh yeah.
Good. Oh, good.
I don't today.
Too many tops. But particularly, so I'm a Texan.
You're mad at me?
How old are you, Luke?
42.
Okay. 37.
25.
So, it's like you were talking about being North Dakota or South Dakota?
South Dakota. I'm doing something. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and the things you were talking about, like your dad was like, "Who sired you, boy?" And you're different, this and that. I was just kind of jiving with things that you were saying. So yeah, I grew up kind of like what I call like Walmart Christianity, basic Protestant, like off the shelf, whatever. And I'm just sort of flailing in the wind, like you were saying earlier, like everyone else. And this whole conversation thing that you guys were doing just sounded awesome. So that's pretty much why I'm here. And I'm just kind of here to learn and be a fly on the wall and see what I can contribute and sort of share my experiences without being too much of a therapy session, because that could happen pretty quick, So, which is a good thing, by the way. I think you guys probably all agree there.
I love a good therapy session.
So you grew up in Texas?
I have a good amount of life experiences for someone my age, I think, and committed every sin in the book and yada yada yada, and trying to find God and all that. So that's kind of who I am, who I'm not, who I'm trying to be.
Nice. That's all great. I want to ask a ton more questions. I'm not the best. So a randos conversation, you probably don't even know what that is.
No. I have no idea.
So what that is it's a ritual. It's become a ritual in this little corner of the internet, which is what this group of people that I like to talk about and that I consider myself a part of is. But what it is it started from, so the brief thing, just to give you context, because I would love for, whenever somebody does something like this, they need to have a rando eventually. I'm not the best one to do it, but what it is it's a conversation about a person's life. It's kind of a person's biography of just like a random person, such as yourself. And the reason it happened is because Paul Vanderklay, who's a friend of many of ours in here and who I've known for a long time, who's kind of the central figure, in my opinion, in the TLC, put out a video. He's a pastor in Sacramento, California, a Christian Reformed pastor, and he put out this video after Jordan Peterson came on the scene of just like a pastor's response to Jordan Peterson. And then he had no followers on YouTube, like tens of followers. Then all of a sudden overnight he had 200. Then all of a sudden he had 2,000. And then he started doing comment. Huh?
What year was that?
Probably, I don't know when PBK started doing that. 2016, 2017?
2016.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden a bunch of people started reaching out to him, just being like, I have no one to talk to about this, who were religiously inclined or post-religious, ex-religious, whatever. But the combination of Jordan Peterson and a pastor and them wanting to talk about what Jordan Peterson and what he was saying meant to them, all these people started reaching out to Paul. And then Paul started having conversations with him just to be like, tell me your story and why. And then all of a sudden it developed into this thing where PBK was like, we say PBK, he's like, I should record these and then share them. Maybe other people would get something out of these. And so that was the birth of the Randos conversation. And so what TLC has really become, like we talk about all these ideas, but what it really is this new emergent internet thing, which also does in real life conferences now. We've had a bunch of them.
Right. I heard you talk about
where we became friends. Because what happened is Paul started talking to all these people, and then other people would reach out and say, I want to talk to that person. And then we started talking and having conversations offline and doing our own private conversations, and this whole thing evolved.
You guys, he totally sent it, and now you're here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly. And he didn't even know what he was doing, you know? And then like Jason and I are really good friends with this guy, Kalia, that I was talking about, who grew up Hare Krishna. And now, and he's kind of in this world, TLC adjacent. He's a really good friend of both of ours. Like I went to Jason's wedding just earlier this year, and we met online through this weird thing. And but Kalia is a good friend of both of ours, grew up Hare Krishna, and then he came into the corner, not through PBK, because he just found my videos on Christian Universalism and was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's like saying stuff that like Christopher Langan says, and he doesn't know anything about Christopher Langan.
Right. Oh, isn't that the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah. Who I sound like, apparently.
Cal?
Oh,
Kalia. Kalia, definitely.
The bouncer guy, right?
Huh?
He was the bouncer guy?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's awesome.
So Kalia loves Christopher Langan, like went deep. So kind of through Christopher Langan, he became an atheist. His brief story, raised Hare Krishna, became an atheist, got into Christopher Langan at some point, and then through his cognitive theoretical model of the universe, CTMU, he was just like, oh, this is just God. And so he came back to
like Albert Einstein, right?
Yeah, he came back to some form of theism through Chris Langan, and then he got into Christianity, and then he got into Christian Universalism because he's smart as shit. That's what smart Christians do. and then he found my videos on YouTube. You know, it's wild.
Yeah, the universal. I think I heard you say you're a Christian anarchist. Did you say that one time?
Yeah, I would probably.
I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I was like, I don't know what that means, but that was pretty punk rock, I guess.
It is pretty punk rock.
I was like, but Christ is the ultimate punk. I don't know, like where are you going with this, man? Like
yeah, essentially that. I do think in a lot of ways, like whatever is true about punk rock that people relate to and being punk, Christ is definitely the epitome of that.
Yeah, I've kind of thought that. Back in the day, I was like, yeah, he's definitely punk rock, like so many ways.
Yeah. I mean, that's my understanding of Christ in general. The most true thing in anything that anyone is drawn to in its perfection, that is Christ.
Oh, Peter Rollins too. You sent me on, this whole thing has kind of like sent me on a little storm. So, before I decided to jump in, you talk so fast, right? But you speak well, and you were just Peter Rollins this, and I was like, okay, well, let me just look at everything, right? And it's been really good, man. So I appreciate it. So
nice.
I'm kind of imbibing all this, right? And I don't really know where it's headed, but I love that you said break the fourth wall and your stuff on McLuhan. So I mean that's kind of what got me to bite. So
beautiful. Thank you. That's great. Yeah.
I'm here to take you up on that and just
So
learn, see what I can add, man. You know,
that would be great. The break the fourth wall thing. That's a Grim Grizz thing who was in here before. He's the first guy who popped in here, and he's kind of you should check out his channel. What he does is it takes a long time to get your bearings of what he's doing. But Grim is one of the central figures in this little corner, and he's a mimetic genius, but that's his term. It's breaking the fourth wall. And he's like he's a modern day internet shaman is kind of how I describe Grim.
He kind of looks like that. It's cool.
He is. He's kind of a wizard.
Oh, there's a wizard right there. Al? Linux wizard?
Al's a bit of a wizard too.
Interesting. That's my government name. My government name actually is Sean, just in case anyone cared. I go by Al because in the bank no one could pronounce it. But in Chinese, wizard is Xian, right? So yeah, that was just a little joke within when I was giving tours, right? Because my name means wizard, and I always kind of look like a wizard. Yeah, yeah. Sound like one certainly because I'm way out there, there.
Al, wait till Al gets on a riff, Matt. You think he's like, I mean, in his own way, Al's very well read and understands language very well. And he just starts to, and he'll throw out these things because I know what it's like. He's thinking all these thoughts like this, and he's just trying to point. He's just like, because you're doing mosaic vision stuff, Al, I think, when you're thinking.
Well, yeah.
Like, you see this? Here.
There's a great video I just watched this morning about the real power of the dyslexic and the neurodivergent is that they see the world differently than others, right? The way I explain it is there's a common thing called, the vase. It's called Rubens vase. It looks like a vase. It looks like either a candlestick or two faces meeting.
Yeah.
So there's three types of people in the world. Do you see a face? Well, four types, I guess. Do you see the faces? Do you see the candlestick? Or do you, like some people, see something else? Or do you see all of it in a superposition? Yeah. And honestly, I want to mention that. Like, that's what I was trying to get at when I joined, not talking about Hinduism per se, but I want to talk about real criticism. So 2 examples. I got on with Mark because I wanted to actually just give a little insight into, whether a Christian should Diwali or not. And so I said, well, what do you mean by Diwali? Sounds like Peterson, right? What I mean was it the original idea of a celebration of life, of a universalist idea, this misunderstanding of Hinduism? That is a colonist term. They prefer to call it Bharatan Dharma or the eternal Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. It's simply multiple paths to the same God. You get what I mean? So I would criticize Diwali in its current form as very bacchanalian. And if any of you have been watching the media recently, that's exactly the takeaway. It was absolutely debauchery, right? And so the other example is when people criticize Jordan Peterson, especially since now he's having some health difficulties. I was shocked to hear people criticize him for having had his toxicity effect of the benzos, right? Oh, you should have known. That is not something to criticize him for, because any of us can suffer from long-term medical, and what it was is he couldn't up the dose or down the dose without having severe effects. That's not uncommon. But the criticism could have been is that he was allowed to be on it for the 10 years. But I never hear people having that discussion. You get what I mean? Right? We're arguing past each other, but so.
I get it.
Yeah. I only came on to talk about prophilicity, but then when y'all were talking about some of that other stuff. Authenticity.
Yeah. No, I get it. Mark Parker, you there?
Oh, look.
Yeah. Hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, Matt. That was a great entry, by the way. Really good job.
Oh, hey, thanks, man. How are you, sir?
No, really, first rate. So you're like, it seems like you found your tribe for a while, because this is a good space.
That would be cool, man. Yeah. Never. Yeah, a lot of first times here. Where are you from?
I'm in Southern California.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar. You there?
Oh, okay, Redlands. I'm between LA and Palm Springs,
Oh, it's
basically.
Redlands University. Yeah. I know
Oh,
it's,
okay.
yeah. I lived in LA for 13 years.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Luke left. Luke wanted.
Yeah.
He asked. He wanted me to square the circle around Christian universalism. But then what I really wanted to talk about was what he was talking about. Boomers didn't mentor their children well. And I don't know. I don't know if I can't speak for my whole generation, and I know a lot of people screwed up, but every generation seems to think they were not adequately parented in some way or another. But, in my case, we paid attention to every little detail for our kids. And, we sent my son off to college 3,000 miles away when he was 16 because we knew there was something unique about him that needed it. And we talked about everything with our kids. My wife was even better at it than I was, much better at it, actually. So I think as you guys are as parents, as you guys, I don't know how many, I know Luke is a parent. Matt, are you a parent?
No. You're very typical divorced kid, suburban sort of kid. Anybody else divorced kid in here?
A lot of those, I'm
not.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
My parents have always stayed together despite my mom's
Despite your-
dreams.
What?
But I think just paying attention to your kids, paying attention to you're not. They're gonna feel deprived in some way or another and not understood, and that's inevitable. I don't know if you can keep up. I think is what Luke was trying to figure out how to keep up. I don't know if you can.
Well,
Like you're already middle-aged, Luke, right? I mean, you think about it.
I'm young. I mean, I'm like 25. Look at me.
You're vibrant.
No, it's kind of like what Phlebas was pushing me on. I said, like all parents, one of my Lukeisms is everything's a gift if you receive it as a gift. So the gift that my dad gave me was that he wasn't the kind of father that I wanted. And he was a great father.
When you said he didn't give you what you wanted earlier, were you meaning like he was tough on you, or he couldn't be there for you?
Well, so he was there for me. Like, so in that sense, like my parents weren't divorced. My dad was always there. He was always providing for me, but he wasn't there for me in the ways that I wanted him to be.
Right,
so like,
okay.
I'm very, as you can tell, like I'm very intellectual. I'm very emotional. I'm very abstract. And so I wanted a dad who was like, wanting to talk about feelings, wanting to talk about psychology. How are you? Like, what do you need from me? I wanted a dad who was like, my dad was not that even close. My dad was just like, the gift my dad gave me was like, you're going to be tough. You're going to know how to work. It's good.
So that's why I mentioned I was from Texas, because I feel like I'm toying with this idea of how boomers, it's not just a boomer millennial thing, it's a regional thing. And because you said that you were from the Dakotas, I'm like, okay, well that's, you're out there, right? And there's this sort of like Texas brand of Christianity. And because I went to California for so long, I feel like I have a bit of authority, and now I'm back in Texas to kind of talk about the differences of, how it all kind of interplays with each other. So,
yeah.
So where'd you grow up in Texas? Was it like on like
Houston?
Houston. Okay.
Yeah. So like there's a certain brand of like what I would call like Texas Protestantism, where it's just like extremely rigid, and this type of conversation that we're having is just not allowed, right? And I know that just doesn't happen in Texas, so I realize it kind of happens everywhere, but Texas is its own, like it's such a powerhouse, just like California.
Yeah. When are they going to see?
It just sort of like has its own crazy brand, and I'm not at all denouncing my Texanism. I'll love it, right, forever. But it's like it's a major problem, and it gets in the way, a lot. Because there's one time you said there's salvation comes outside the camp.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good, like, of course, I love that. So you got to have some wiggle room, right? And that's something I always thought about, wiggle room.
Well, that's part of what. So I grew up in Western South Dakota, like north of the Badlands. Like I always tell people, if you've seen Dances with Wolves, like where his homestead was, like his fort, like that's where I grew up. And then my parents end up moving. They live outside of Dallas now. So I mean, I spent time in the South. I used to have grandparents lived in Arkansas for a while, and I mean, I know Bible Belt culture. Yeah. And I mean, I grew up in that kind of milieu too. And so it's like, that's part of why, like, even with my dad, he's like, who sired you, boy? Or like, because he'll say that. Or like even my mom, who's a little bit more intellectually inclined than my dad. And she's the most intellectually religious. And my whole life, she's just like, everything that I do religiously and how I think about things just stresses her out. Yeah, because I'm just not. I'm a weirdo, you know.
Does she think you're going to hell?
There you go. That's a good jumping off point. Yeah.
I don't know where the current.
One time, I had a conversation with my parents one time, and they just got to this point, and they were like, "Well, that's not Christian." And then I remember, I don't know why, I just looked at my mom and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm going to hell then. What are you going to do with that?" And she didn't say anything. But I mean, that's kind of the question that I think gets back to Christian universalism, or some, like, what do you do with that? Say I am going to hell. Like, then what do you do with my mom? What do you do with my dad? What do you do with
if it makes you feel better? My mom said that to me when I was young, but now she comes to me for some of this stuff. She asked me for advice and stuff.
I would hope my mom wouldn't come to me for any sort of advice.
No, it's not. No, honestly, that's the mistake. That's what ecclesia is. It's the community. It's not a building, the church. It's us, right? So that's what we need to do. We need to be reading it as a group, individually, and then discussing it. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by coming to me. Like, anyways.
Well, and that kind of gets at stuff Mark Parker's been talking about, because you're just saying Christians, self-identifying Christians, and to me this is all propositional tyranny bullshit, because it's self-identifying Christians are saying these people outside the camp, outside the confessional bounds that I think are acceptable to be a Christian, then they're not Christians because they don't affirm all these things. But then we do that in inter-Christian things. Like, I go to an Orthodox church, and at different times people have just been like, or Catholics or whatever, and like, you're not a Christian because you don't fit this little doctrinal bound. There was a joke, this little comic, a single screen comic that I saw once, where it was a professor, and like there's this lecture auditorium, and he has this family tree of Christianity, and he's just like, and right here, like the 3rd Street Baptist, he's like, this is where we got it right, this is where we nailed it, and everyone's like, and it's like, that's not, if you think like that's what salvation is. But then conversely, this is what I was saying earlier with my Christian universalism, it simultaneously allows me to say belief is something more than your mere propositional tyranny. But it doesn't mean that propositions don't matter and don't affect the way that you show up in the life and don't point you in certain directions, and that some aren't truer than others. I'm not a complete, like, arbitrary relativist, but Jedediah Pascal here is in the comments. He said, like, of course everything's relative because everything's contextually bound and relational, but it's not arbitrary.
Right. Well, what if it's not forgiven? Let's just assume we're all forgiven. The cross is one and done, right? Jesus is resurrected and on the throne. Forgiveness is had, but there is still a right way to be in the world, and there is still cause and effect. I can forgive my hammer for hitting my thumb, but my thumb will still hurt because I hit my thumb with my hammer. There are modes of conduct, behavior, what have you. There are things we do in the world. This is where I break from Buddhism, is that there are things we do in the world that are real. Not even Buddhism wouldn't argue with that, would it, Al? There are things that we do in the world that are real, but they are not really real, right? The really real is Christ on the throne, God, forgiveness, unity. But our relative experience still shapes us and determines future lives, so to speak. Whether you see your future life as tomorrow, or whether you see your future life as a completely different body, okay? Causation, cause and effect are still at work.
There's your karma. I was going to say that. Yeah.
That's, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to avoid the word, Al. Thanks. But I'm trying to put it all in American.
My mom just logged off. Thanks, Mark. For now.
So it's not about forgiveness. That's so I can have no problem with saying every knee shall bow, every tongue will confess. That's a universalist passage, right?
Yeah.
But that category, that word wasn't in Paul's lingo when he said it or wrote it. In our categories, we keep imposing our modern day categories and language upon a 2,000-year-old text, and I'd much rather just back away. I mean, the categories are unavoidable, but I hold them lightly and just take the text as it is. And it seems to say, it warns us again and again and again about acts and conduct that leads to destruction, and the love of God that will unite us with Him in all eternity. I can't. You see, I'm saying I can't perfectly square the circle for you.
Yeah.
But I'm learning how to be okay with that tension sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think every time I try to talk about forgiveness, I feel like I fail because I don't think it's a dismissal of anything at all. And I have
I've
a sense
never
like
forgiven you for it.
I feel like forgiveness is quite violent in some ways. Like the love of God is kind of violent in some ways, and violence might be the wrong word because I know that'll rub people the wrong way, but it has a way of consuming everything that's not lovely, you know? And so even with forgiveness, like it has a weird sort of truth embedded in it or something, so that there is a right way to live in the world, because you wouldn't need forgiveness if there isn't like a right and wrong to things. And if you just like forgive everything, as in just dismiss all wrongs, no one's ever held accountable, and then there's really no need for repentance even necessarily. Like there has to be like your thumb and the hammer, like you're standing in the middle between the thumb and your hammer trying to reconcile these two now because your thumb hates the hammer, and it's like, how are you going to do that? Like your thumb might forgive the hammer or vice versa, but it's like you kind of need them coming back together face to face. But it's like if the thumb refuses to forgive the hammer, then it's like, I think that's what I mean, where I think that's a judgment. That's the one judgment, is forgiveness. Because if the thumb refuses to forgive the hammer, then it's always got its back turned, and there's never it's always separation. It's always disunity. But if it actually comes back to it, without, because it still hurts. It's not like dismissing the wrong.
Exactly.
Like the hammer has to repent in some way, you know, because the hammer has to realize the thing I need is forgiveness. And thumb has to realize the thing I need is forgiveness. Like I need to give it, and I need it for myself. Like it may not need it for itself in that moment, but it needs to give it in that moment. What?
Is that forgiveness before repentance? Is that kind of that idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can do that. I think that's kind of what Christ is doing on the cross. Is like it's just a matter of us turning back towards Christ or towards that one forgiveness, that divine thing. Because it's like if someone harms you, you can forgive them, and that doesn't necessarily make them repent. But it takes them realizing they actually need forgiveness, because otherwise they're just going to continually separate themselves from you, themselves from the next person you're connected to. They just separate themselves till they're completely alone. And so it's like it takes the realization, like, oh, the one thing I need most in this life is mercy, is forgiveness. Like I need it for myself, but in order to have that, like it's two sides to the same coin. Like you have to give it. Like you have to.
Right. Love has to go out. It has to go out.
Yeah.
It can't just go one way. It can't just be Red Clay Strays. Even though I love that song.
Nice. Nice riff. I haven't heard that one yet, but that's a good band.
I don't know that. I don't know that song, but they're like Texas people. They were on Rogan recently, and he was, and I was just like, dude, stop talking about gods.
What did he say? I totally.
He's like, I don't know, just typical like, not super bright evangelical stuff.
Walmart, man. We're in Walmart. And by the way, I still shop at Walmart because I have to.
I do too. Don't tell Luke that. He gets mad about it.
Yeah.
I love Walmart. Walmart is amazing.
I do what I can.
Evangelical or not, their music is awesome. So I don't really care.
I haven't listened to any of It's a great song. The song is "I Just Want to Be Loved," right?
Yeah. It's a
I
great song.
I have heard that one. Yeah.
So I'm kind of overdoing the concept there, but I mean, just for the sake of conversation.
Dude, but that's almost back to what I was talking about earlier.
It has to go both ways.
Yeah, when I was talking about music and Matty Diaz, and like, I often find this. There are musicians a lot of times that I love, and they write just the best lyrics. And then they'll start talking, and they'll go into like ideological brain, propositional brain, and then they say the dumbest shit in the world. I'm like, please just stick to writing poetry and songs, because there you say beautiful things.
Yeah, that's most good art, I feel like.
Yeah. Nate, what were you gonna say? You jumped in here.
One of them responding to Slack group.
Oh, he's responding to something in the comments. And then I got a PVK and Phlebas. Listen, I get that you're reformed. I get that you really like penal substitutionary atonement. I can get on board with substitutionary atonement, but I don't understand the need to like hammer the penal so much. You just really very penal. You really love the penal.
Doing jokes.
Who loves the penal?
Good place to do jokes.
Phlebas and PVK love the penal.
I guess so.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Can I highlight something that was just mentioned and
yes.
something that really shocked me? So the question about you mentioned Joe Rogan and somebody about not talking about the Bible. Let me just share something with you that I was surprised by. So there was an interview and he's a well-known guy now. He was ex-CIA. He does long-form podcasts where he does an interview, and he was interviewing someone who runs, I'm not familiar with it, but Real News, No BS. And you can take it either way, either as showing that the right is not well-informed or see it as Christians, Ephesians chapter 4. And so I think we need to not criticize people about their maybe their misunderstanding of the Bible, is actually encourage them to read it more. Because the example I give is the same day I watched that interview, not the whole thing, some of it, where the Real News guy admits that he is struggling. He's a Christian, but he's struggling to read the Bible because he says he doesn't understand. But what was interesting, this is why I shared a short with what I would recommend people to start with for the Bible, not King James, because that's what turned him off. Right? He thought the King James was too hard to read. And the interviewer said the same thing. He's like, I can't read it either. And you know what it's actually led to is he only reads something produced by somebody else. It's just a choice excerpts of what Jesus said. And he's sharing that. And he said he shared it with a dozen other people. So because these people aren't comfortable reading the Bible, not getting together, like the pastor that I listen to is great. He reads through the whole Bible. But because that isn't common, I think it's scaring a lot of people away. Because the example I give is the algorithm served me up somebody who is starting to write the Bible. She said that she's doing a short every day, writing the Bible word for word, because she was having trouble being in the Bible. But when I checked her social media, she just finished doing the Bible in 40 days. So she did a short every day, trying to get through the Bible in 40 days. So I think that's what we're getting. The only people willing to talk about their Bible struggles and reading are the ones who are just the profile, not the authentic people who admit that they're struggling with, not just reading it in situ, but also applying it to today. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well, so I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
no, I just have
exactly
to react. I just have
Yeah.
to react to the people not understanding the King James. And I'm just going to say it's because they were raised badly. If you're not exposing your children to the cadences of early modern English at an early age, you're failing as a parent.
Boom.
Because the King James Bible and the Book of Common Prayer are foundational texts for our civilization.
But
if you don't know them backwards and forwards, you're doing it wrong.
That's BS. Because Northrop Frye, when he wrote his Bible Code 2 book, it's total BS. Because when Northrop Frye wrote his, let me finish, please. It's total BS for what we're talking about today. Because when Northrop Frye wrote his 2 books, which I have right here, in fact, so close that it's actually right here, The Great Code, right? It was already too late. He wrote himself, said that people weren't understanding that the King James was foundational to our language. But the fact that we have lost that even 50 years ago when he published this tells us that, no, the real problem is we need to teach our kids how to read. I call it a reflection crisis. It's not that they're not familiar with the King James language. It's that they're not familiar with language, not familiar with, I'll give you an example. I did a course with master's level, graduate level students, and we broke off into a breakout room to break down a poem about Nirvana. And the poem was about the snuffing of a candle, and no one understood what it was about, even though Nirvana means to snuff out a candle in Sanskrit. You get what I mean? Mm. So I don't think it's the language. I think it's the fact that we are so separated from meaning, from depth. Like I mentioned that in chat. There's only a few.
Okay. So then why single out the King James for criticism?
No, because that's the one that they were recommended. You get what I mean? Like, don't recommend. So what I would recommend is people start, and I've seen this so many times, start with something a little easier. Like there's a short that I created. So I don't recommend the King James as the first one. It is beautiful. I love the language of the King James, but it is so obscure. It really is. So I would recommend people not get into ESV, for example, or even the New King James, because it's still too close to a language that people don't use today. So I wouldn't recommend the Message. That's too far away. But I would recommend the New International Version.
Yeah, you're actually talking past my point altogether, because my entire point was, from an early age, your children should be learned to become familiar with the way that the language was used in an earlier age, because they'll never actually succeed. They'll never succeed intellectually. Like my son used to watch Henry V over and over again as a child, the way other kids watch Disney movies. Okay.
And you don't understand how weird that is and how obscure and how that's not going to happen.
All right. All right. Let's table this topic for now, because mainly you guys should get together and have the old school Discord.
We actually agree. That's the thing that's funny.
No, I'm sure you do. Because I don't think anybody really disagrees about anything.
You guys should get together and have a good hug.
Yeah. Just shove those beards together.
It's cocoa time, actually.
No, but the problem
Christmas is approaching.
Really highlighted in that discussion, right? Because I never criticized King James. I was criticizing the fact that when someone's told to get into the Bible, just like what Nate just did. So my original criticism is that's what's turning people off. So Nate said please let me finish quickly. Nate was saying that you should. So you're actually agreeing with what I actually started with, is that the gentleman doesn't read the Bible because he was told to read the King James and he found it too difficult. So what I was trying to get at is, if he was told, instead of, well, you have to, it's foundational, you're not teaching your kids properly otherwise, if he was told, get into the New International Version, and then when you go back to the King James, then you can get you get what I mean?
No, I don't. I don't agree at all. I mean, I'm actually more of the mindset of Alan Bloom. Even if you're an idiot, a thimbleful of Play-Doh is better than a thimbleful of crap.
Oh my God, it's disgusting.
Okay. We gotta stop. We had second round. We're done with that now, because we went long because Matt was in here. Matt, is it Frells?
Yes, sir. No, you got it. You got it.
I want to say Freels because you gave me the feels, breaking the fourth wall.
Oh yeah,
what's that wordplay?
Say it.
Jess just showed up, but listen, I gotta go. I got shit to do. I gotta go stick a shovel in the ground. You know what I mean?
The gym? Oh.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to the gym with a shovel, the way men used to. You go lift your free weights. I will go shovel. You modern girly man.
Stuck here with this little Pomeranian going to the Planet Fitness. It's despicable.
Oh man. Okay, so let's do final words. Ideally, let's try to keep it.
Where did Jess go? What was that about?
I don't know where he went. Jess has work to do. Let's keep it to about 2 minutes ish, and let's maybe talk about the title. Let's maybe talk about, am I a Boomer 2.0 and generational handoff, and what kind of wisdom can we have in passing, in relating to and passing on wisdom to incoming generations, you know, that sort of thing. Who would like to start? Does anyone want to start? Should I pick? Should I force people to start?
I'll say
Let's
something.
let Matt C talk. He just came in. Matt C, you talk. You're coming in hot. I want you to give first and last words.
Don't watch the Nick Fuentes interview. It's nonsense. Everybody's going to forget about it in 2 days. And TLC is so transformative and revolutionary by being anti-content. If we're just watching the content and commenting on it, you can get that literally anywhere.
Yeah, agreed with that. But do you think, okay, that was a lot quickly. Do you think there's any benefit to paying attention to Nick Fuentes because so many other people are paying attention to it, or you just ignore it?
I'd rather pay attention to Mark D. Parker and Luke Thompson sharing intergenerational wisdom.
Man.
Than those two, than that Gen Xer and that Zillennial trying and attempting and failing to share wisdom.
Matt C. going personalist. I like it. Thank you.
I think Grimm's point on encouraging Luke to talk about it was actually not to pay attention to Nick, but to the ideas that Nick brought up. So,
dang it, Nate.
Sorry.
I'm trying to be
that doesn't
objective. I'm trying to.
It's totally fine. I'm not interested in his ideas or his person. So I don't agree with that.
I do think that was Grimm's point, but I get it. It's persons over content. I mean, I think that's what Matt's getting at, which is a totally different way of seeing and being in the world. All right.
I respect your original topic, which I thought was really good.
Yep. All right. Let's go. Nate, do you have a final word, or Jason? I want to give Matt the last one since he's new.
That's fair enough. I have no words. I'm actually reviewing emails, and I just came in to hang out for a minute, and then unintentionally got in an argument with Al.
Nice. Well, thank you, buddy. Your conversation so far.
It was a discussion, not an argument. That's one thing I want to point out. Y'all need to redefine what you call an argument, right? Like that was just a simple argument, discussion, not an argument.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Let's, Jason.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Al, you can give.
I came just for the generational thing. That's the only reason why I joined, because I am such a weirdo, which is probably why y'all don't understand me at all. Is because I recommend the book. It's called Generations by an author by the name of Gene Twenge. So there's the book, right? I highly recommend it. Okay, because the long story short is generations have zero to do with when you were born, but the milieu you were raised in. So the reason why I know this personally, I was at the very dawn of the Gen Z, but my parents were silent Gen because my parents were nearly 30 when they had me.
Yeah.
But both of my brothers being older, they were boomers. So I lived a really weird experience, right? So long story short, this is what McLuhan was getting at. Okay. If you guys want a full type, Marshall McLuhan warned us that every generation struggles to understand the previous and vice versa. He called it generational grammar. But what McLuhan never guessed is that we would have multiple generations not understanding each other's grammar, but also not understanding their own grammar. You can actually look at that. Even the Gen Alpha, they have language that only they understand, but only within their little circles.
Yeah.
Right. So McLuhan never predicted that we would break off into all these little fractal, you know what I mean? So that's all I wanted to share is that don't worry about the Gen X, the Gen Z. It's actually more about what you marinate yourself in, both historically and present.
Yep. That's a good word, Al.
We have our own language in the TLC too, which is pretty alienating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vervaeke, I still can't track with Vervaeke at all because I haven't learned his language.
He's actually reinventing his, and that's actually common in his field is to be different. They reinvent, I call it term wars. They reinvent old terms, like, you know what I mean? So you actually, this is a known thing in psychology. When someone is speaking to an audience, if they use terminology that's above the audience head or words that are greater than needs to be, we know that denatures the message that they're trying to get across to the audience. So when you have a teacher, a therapist, or even an influencer who's using language purposely to sound smart or to obfuscate their message, then arguably that's what they want to do. No, you're
No,
different.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there is a hard struggle. And this is why Peterson, I think, became so reviled, is because he says, what do you mean by this?
Yeah.
And the example I use is him and Vivek Ramaswamy never sat down and said, well, what do you mean by God? So they went and spent 2 hours talking about two different concepts, right? So it was a waste of time. And that's what I mean by that.
Okay, let's really do wrapping up. No more crosstalk. Jason, then Mark, then Matt.
My last word was going to be crosstalk. It would be short though. Matt, what's your favorite Disney movie?
Ooh, gun to my head right now?
Yeah. Just say you like.
Five Will Goes West.
Oh, nice.
Sleeper. What a great one.
All right, that's all I want to know.
Mark.
I had my earphones went bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Matt has definitely found his tribe. There's no question. Just stick around, Matt, and get around over PVK.
Or someone like Mark D. Parker or Christian Baxter.
Yeah. I'll talk to you. My channel is, you can find me at Mark D. Parker, and then my email is there if you want to schedule something.
Okay, Matt. Oh, you're not. Keep going, Mark.
Let's see. I don't know if I have a last word. I was going to ask Luke if I even remotely adequately addressed the question you put to me about the universalism issue, trying to explain my position.
I mean, I think so. We just, that's something we'll keep talking about it, figuring it out. We can maybe have another recorded conversation about universalism specifically, but I mean, I don't know.
Where you focus that's a point of focus or emphasis, where your attention is. It may actually be more psychological for us because we don't. Why do I need to live in the tension, and why do you need to live in the a firmer theological position than I? And then the question to ask ourselves would be what needs are these functions fulfilling for us? It may have absolutely nothing to do with the topic we think that's really important, but it may have something to do with some weird Freudian thing going on with us.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to frame it. That would be a great frame for a question or for a conversation. Absolutely. All right, Matt, close us out, my buddy.
The question, Am I Boomer? Is that from the Killer song? Am I Dancer?
I wish I had done something awesome. Smart like that.
This is a weird song. Cool enough band, I guess. I am part Boomer for sure. Love thy Boomer. Love thy neighbor.
Yeah, there you go.
I got a lot of Boomer in me. Couldn't even get on the stream this morning. But I thank you guys for letting me on, man. This is cool. There's so much to talk about of the gaps and the generation gap, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And, I'm really focused on the South versus the coastal sort of traditions and stuff. And I like them both because I've lived in them both, and that's kind of what I want to just yak on about. But this is really cool. You guys are awesome, man. Thank you.
Nice. Awesome. I'm pumped. Thanks for coming. This is good. And the last thing, and then I'm going to close the stream, is I'll say, somewhere out there beneath the pale moon.
That's American Tail. That's
Is it? Damn it.
Yeah.
Still in the stream. That's it.